to be worried about events on our border spreading far beyond our border. For that, we turn to our panel, Sirius XM radio host David Webb, Matt McCall of Penn Financial, and Fox News contributor Leslie Marshall. Well, David, first to you. I mean, one thing that I was thinking of was we have enough money, or we're at least planning to spend enough money for 16,000 new IRS agents in order to enforce Obamacare, but we don't have enough money to reinforce our border.
Yeah, and this is no laughing matter. I've been down to the border since about 1997, 98. I've followed it all along. There are millions of acres of farmland, and as that gets pushed out, that affects the local economy, that affects food production. Texas is a huge producer, whether it's onions, whether it's cotton, other base commodities that we need, and that is being affected, and that rolls over into the national. One important point that the commissioner mentioned is the age of farmers. Well, if you continue to age out farmers and it becomes a threat to farm,
that's right,
you don't get new farmers.
Well, and if you break the generational pattern, Leslie, you have all sorts of problems, because that's usually how it happens. If the generation is broken, then the guys go into the city or they have a new profession, and you lose the whole farming family that goes back for generations.
Oh, no question. I mean, it's sad. When you go to Hawaii and you go to the Dole pineapple plant, it's a museum because the workers are in the Philippines, because that did happen, the breaking of generations. I have to tell you, I'm a big proponent of securing, not closing our borders. This is an area where I don't like cutting with the scissors in the hands of the GOP. And we do need more agents. And this is an example of why we need to bring our troops home from Afghanistan and Iraq and use them.
Why don't we make a deal? The president wants to hire 16,000 new IRS agents. Wouldn't you rather have border guards than more IRS agents?
David, I don't think we should have any IRS
agents. Oh, you were
agents.
so close. You were so close to making a deal with me, Leslie. Matt, what do you think?
Well, I think the commissioner was spot on when he called them terrorists, because we don't look at the drug cartel as terrorists, but all it takes is them to sneak one or two terrorists over that border to be the next bomber in this country. So I think that we need to definitely secure our borders.
And while all these commodity prices are going up, mostly because of what the Fed is doing, I think, but we can't afford any other pressure on prices.
Who does this hurt the most? Those that are on fixed incomes, lower income families. Come on, if this president wants to protect those people, middle class and lower as he calls them, well then you know what?
Playing the race card. That's story time at our 2-minute drill. We welcome back our panel, David Webb, Matt McCall, and Leslie Marshall. Well, President Obama is quoted in a new book as saying that racism is a key component of the Tea Party movement. The book says, quote, he agreed that there was a subterranean agenda in the anti-Obama movement, a racially biased one that was unfortunate. So if the passage is true, Leslie, I'll go first to you on this. Does it hurt the president or the Tea Party?
A bit of both, actually, David, because the president has also been quoted as saying that he doesn't even think about race when he's thinking about legislation and directing that toward one community, such as the African-American community. But I would have to say there is some truth with the fringe element of the Tea Party and other organizations that were upset by the color of his skin, a biracial African-American man as president.
The NAACP did a survey, and the one thing that they found, they were on with Bill O'Reilly, the one thing that they found was a guy with a T-shirt. For all of the hundreds of incidences that they investigated, one guy with a T-shirt. That was it.
One guy, Dale Roberts in Houston, Texas, drummed out the other, because I was the guy who went up against Ben Jealous in these charges. Fringe, if you
Ben Jealous from the NAACP.
Ben Jealous, president of the NAACP, Hillary Shelton, vice president, whatever. They could never produce any credible evidence in large amount to paint the whole movement. But let's go to the left and what they did with Tucson, what they do in Madison, Wisconsin, the Hitler signs and everything, and the president is silenced. The president's a hypocrite on this.
Well, but so the fact is, Matt, if they couldn't find any evidence and the president says that he believes it is there, that racist element, then doesn't that look bad on him?
Sure, it absolutely does look bad at him, because he is using a very small minority and using, like David just said, one or two people to make his point. Sure, you're going to have a Tea Party movement, any movement. You're going to have radicals that are going to lynch onto you and kind of, try to ride your tail. And that probably happened in a Tea Party. But is it racism? No.
Okay, well, as lawmakers struggle to make even modest cuts to the budget, today the New York Times said this about the nation's $14 trillion debt. Quote, it's all obfuscating nonsense, of course, a scare tactic employed for political ends. A country with a deficit is not necessarily any more broke than a family with a mortgage or a college loan. Isn't that an insult to the overwhelming majority of Americans who pay their bills on time?
These are guys that go to the Paul Krugman School of Economics.
Yeah.
The difference is a family can go out and earn and pay off those debts. A country can't earn. It can only increase taxes, or it can find ways to cut its spending and cut the large, oversized government.
But again, most families have done the work necessary to cut back on their debt.
Yes, and we've seen that. You see the savings rate going up over the last 3 years, really, since the recession started. Yeah. So we have taken this. We've heeded the fact that things are tougher now. The government's gone the exact opposite way. They're spending more.
Leslie, don't most Americans deserve more credit than the government has in terms of their spending habits?
Oh, definitely. I think maybe if our elected officials copied some of us in tightening our belts. And David, you know we have a deficit. When both Democrats and Republicans agree we have one and we agree we need to reduce it, it's just a matter of how.
I don't know what the New York Times was thinking. Well, there could be an NFL lockout tomorrow if players and owners don't reach a new collective bargaining agreement after the sides agreed to a one-day extension. Now, do Americans care more about either side in this debate, or are they kind of neutral, sitting back and just hoping for a season?
I think they're hoping for a season, but I think they're naturally going to side with the players here, believe it or not, even though they are overpaid. Because I think they can relate with them. They cannot relate with the only, 30 owners that are out there, that most of them are worth hundreds of millions or billionaires. They can't relate to that. They can relate to the guy who catches their touchdown pass for their team.
But Leslie, you know what bothers even a free market guy like me, who usually sides with owners in disputes like this? I look at the NFL and I see kind of a socialist system where they are splitting their revenue. The revenue is not based on who does the best job, who rakes in the most money, but it's kind of a cooperative more than anything else. So in this sense, I think the players are more free market than the owners are.
Well, I agree with you there, David. I agree with Matt. I think, the people identify with the players, and even though they make a lot of money, they're their heroes. They're who they're cheering on, not the owners. I think they feel more removed from the owners than they do from the players. Yeah,
and frankly, a lot of the owners who are making real money, like the New York Giants and like the Dallas Cowboys, they kind of resent this sort of cooperative basis by which the money is split up.
Exactly, and that's what they argue about even outside collective bargaining. I'm with Matt. The people are going to side with the players on this. And look, do we lose $1 billion if we don't have opening day? They're going to do the math. They're going to come up with an agreement. We see this every 2 or 3 years.
Last word coming up on deck. Remastering some of the film classics. Will Jar Jar Binks translate into 3D? And then there is a question of the NFL. Will they avoid a lockout? If you think they will, it's a buy. If you don't, it's a sell. If you're not sure, it's a hold. Text 369-249. Your answers straight after this. It's time for a buy, sell, or hold. We take the names and stories in the news. We treat it as if they're stocks. Would you buy them, sell them, or hold? Well, a Northwestern University professor is defending an after-class demonstration involving a naked woman and a motorized sex toy. The psychology professor held an after-class session on networking for kinky people. Man and a woman used a power tool, you're looking at it here, as a sex toy. A spokesman originally said the university supports the unorthodox method, but has reversed course and is now condemning the demonstration. Is that you, Leslie, sounding off? The sex demonstration. By the way, the professor still stands behind it, says it was a valuable lesson to the class. What say you?
I'm crossing my legs just watching the picture of that. Ouch, that's mean, that's nasty.
David,
you know what? I hate
hard
to say it was as advertised. I'm going to hold on this one till they get the grade.
All right.
This is going to be my first hold. I'm holding until I see the video of this. I want to see video.
This is and I'm speaking as a I went to Northwestern, and I would still sell it, although, I don't know, would I have gone to that class? It's kind of hard to say you wouldn't have gone to that class. All right. One of the least favorite Star Wars films is being re-released with a makeover. Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, which I actually kind of liked, is being converted to 3D, and it's going to hit theaters early next year. The rest of the Star Wars films are going to follow in 3D, but Star Wars 3D, Leslie, is it a buy, sell, or hold?
I would say it's a buy. You got to keep up with technology, and the geeks love all that high-tech visual.
And David, we should mention that this is being done in a special way. Some of these things that have been converted 3D are done in a cheap way. Not this one, though. This is going to be overseen by all the guys, Lucas and the rest of them.
This is a buy because the technology is great. It's a great story. Pirates and the princess.
No, this is definitely a buy. I mean, I'll go see it. I'm not a big movie guy. I'll go see it. And it's all about money.
Alice in Wonderland, I wasn't crazy about. I saw that 3D, but this one I'll go to. And Scoreboard says it's a buy. Okay, he may be Delaware's most famous citizen, second most powerful politician, but Vice President Biden is a loser in his home state. A Delaware school district has rejected naming a school after him. Instead, the school is going to be named after one of the area's early farm families. So, rejecting the vice president's name for a school. Leslie, what do you think? Buy, sell, or hold?
That's a sell. It's totally disrespectful. You should really give your peeps their props, and he's one of their people.
Okay, one sell.
You know what? I'm going to buy this after all.
That's just because you don't want
I don't. You know, Biden didn't do much.
I'm buying, I think you have to be dead before you have a school named after you.
You know what? I don't know. I think there have been a number of schools named after presidents in their life. I think Bush has
that's been done, yeah.
All right, the NFL will avoid a lockout. If you think they will, it's a buy. Leslie, what do you say?
I say it's a buy because I think they don't want to lose the money with game day, and I think historically we've seen them come to an agreement.
It's a buy. They don't want to lose the money. It's about the
No, it's going to go to lockout, but they will figure it out. But it does go to lockout.
You know, I think it is going to go to lockout. We'll hear more.